Hi, my name's Cara. I'm the owner of Enchanted Vines. This is my very first live on YouTube, so please bear with me. Today I'm going to be making an artificial fall wreath. The Chamber of Commerce that I'm a part of asked me to make a donation, and somebody asked me to do a YouTube live, so I figured I would get two birds with one stone. So when I'm designing, this is going to be an artificial wreath for the fall season. So the first thing that I do is I clean up the wreath. As you can see, there's, lots of twigs and sometimes there's pine needles, things like that. So what I like to do is first clean it up. And you want to clean up the front and the back. And here, let me put you closer to the easel. You want to clean up the front and the back because if you have anything really protruding from the back, it could very well scratch the paint on somebody's door, and we don't want that. So clean this up. And I'm excited to be doing a live because I do workshops here in New Hampshire and also in Massachusetts, but there's a lot of people I would love to craft with, and I feel like this might be as close as we get. So make it a good one. All right, so this front side is cleaned up and polished. I'm going to flip it over. I'm not going to go crazy. It's just a matter of if anything significant is sticking out, getting those off. All right, we're going to be making a crescent wreath. And a crescent wreath basically means that we're going to be covering one side. So if I'm looking at this wreath, I want to find the side that's least appealing. So even though this is a pretty good wreath, I'd say right here, it's not quite as rounded as the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as the side that we're going to cover, okay? So the first thing that I like to do, or the second thing, is I like to mark all my wreaths with bows. It just makes it easier, or with hooks. It makes it easier if you're selling wreaths for your client to know, how to display it. So what I do is I take this jute wire and I feed it through. It has to be a thick part of the wreath or else it's not going to hold. And you just twist the ends. Okay, and then you feed it through like so. And because this hook does blend in so naturally, I always like to mark it with a little ribbon just so it's easy to find. And it's also helpful when you're designing to kind of know what your North Star is so that you stay on track with what design you want to do. All right. So for today, we're going to start off with some foliage. Now, I like using this. This is from Pioneer. Very nice quality product. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate the materials so that they serve my purpose. So this one stem I'm going to cut up into multiple pieces. All right. And if you are a crafter, you have to have a really good set of wire cutters. And I love these. These are Greenlee, and I'm not sure if they still make them, but they are really, really nice. Because sometimes, your hands get tired if you've been crafting a lot for a long time. All right, so when I'm working, I use this glue pot from Surebonder, and I love it because it's like hands-free designing. So you're gonna see that I'm just gonna be dipping into it. I had shut it off for a minute, so it's got to warm back up. But anyway, so what I do when I'm setting my parameters, I know I'm so fancy with the camera work, is I'm going to establish what the top part of my wreath is going to be, and also what the bottom is going to be. Now, when you have leaves like this that are going to interfere with how you put it in, you just pull them off. So when I'm working on the top of the wreath, I slide everything downward. When I'm working on the bottom half of the wreath, I like to slide the stems upward. And the benefit of that is that, one, it's just going to catch more. And two, you're also kind of going with the natural flow of the wreath. Okay, so I always start with corners. So here we go. So you can see, actually this one's a little, this guy's a little small. Let me swap them out. All right, so going back. All right, so now these are more uniform. Okay, then I'm going to determine how far out I want to build on my wreath. So for this, we're doing a crescent wreath. So we're only covering one side. Okay, so I'm going to put this up top. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I am super OCD, so if you see me do something once, there's a really good chance I'm going to do it twice. And one of the benefits of that is that everything stays really balanced. All right, and then I'm just going to put two off to the side. So kind of breaking this up into quadrants. This is the upper middle. And clip one more. And we'll do one on the lower middle. All right. Now today I wanted to show you a really, really simple wreath hack. When you find really good stems, like this is from Pioneer. So we have pumpkins, we have berries, we have pine cones, like this has it all. So either you could dismantle it or you can actually use it as it is and place it on your wreath. So when I'm using something like this that's heavier, I like to zip tie everything. And I'll add glue at the end, but like if you zip tie something, it's gonna last. These zip ties hold about 50 pounds. They do hold 50 pounds. So we get the tags off. I found these pumpkins to be a little weak, so I added more glue. You don't want to give somebody something that's going to fall apart, so it's really important to just kind of inspect your materials and make sure that they're nice and sturdy. So for both pumpkins, I just added some glue to the bottom of it. All right. Zip ties are probably my favorite tool of all. So we are going to trim this first piece. Now all of these things, they're super malleable. I am not a delicate person. This is not a delicate thing, so nothing's gonna break. So what I wanna do is I'm going to bend this so that it's following the wreath, okay? So I'm going to zip tie the bottom portion of this. And notice that I'm using brown zip ties because, again, we want to keep the mechanics hidden so it looks as natural as possible. So we're going to add 2 zip ties here. And then we're going to trim them. And then we're going to repeat that step on the bottom. We're going to cut our spray. And we know we want to give it a nice bend. So we're going to slide this upward. All right, so zip tie this in. Nice and tight. And then we want to make sure this stays with the curve of our wreath. So we're also going to zip tie this final piece. I made a centerpiece with 2 of these yesterday, kind of in a dough bowl with some extra things, and it turned out really, really nice, if I do say so myself. But no, it came together very easily, so if ever, you know, if you have a craft show or you're kind of like you have a big deadline and you're in a rush, this is definitely a trick that you can use, okay? So, I mean, you could almost stop here. Like, that's how full this wreath already is, okay? But we're not going to do that. We want to actually do some designing here. So I am going to grab some different textures. So we have some orange and some yellow, orange and red eucalyptus. So we're going to start peppering some of this in. I like a nice vibrant fall wreath. it really has curb appeal. It's the kind that like jumps off a door like you're turning your head when you drive by it. So that's always the goal, is that you want your home to look beautiful and inviting. And I think that that's what wreaths do. I think they kind of set a tone before you've even opened the door for your guests. All right, so here we go. We're going to dip in our glue pan. Put it up top. Go. And these leaves slide, which these are always the best kind. So I'm going to slide this up a little bit, so that it's got kind of like a nice like pop of color. All right. Again, OCD. So I am going to go on the bottom and repeat that step. Okay. Now, often I like to use one full bush at a time so that everything's evenly distributed. So I'd love to know, one, I don't know if this view is good. I can't tell. And I don't know if people can comment. Don't mind me, sorry. I'm sure I look like a crazy person. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you can hear me and if the view is okay. If it's not, can you let me know? Because this is, again, my first time doing it on YouTube. Usually I just record, so I have more control over how things are going. And with this, I have no control because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So back to our orange eucalyptus. Okay. I want you to see the wreath, not me. All right, we're gonna backfill some where the pumpkins are because we have a gap there. I'm gonna go put one on either side. Okay. We have a few other pieces. Just gonna go through. See, these two sprays are beautiful, but you do want to put your own spin on things. Put your mark on them. All right, now we're gonna go with the red eucalyptus. Oh, awesome, thank you for telling me you can hear me. All right, so now we're gonna go in with our red eucalyptus, and we're gonna trim this. And again, we're gonna start at the top corner. If you notice, that's kind of like my recipe, no matter what the season is. I like to, you know, set the parameters, and then I usually build from, you know, the most far out parts and then go inward. And I like for there to be a nice focal point here. I could have done a bow. I might do a bow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a bow. We'll do one that just slides underneath. So here we are working our red eucalyptus through. I'd love to know if anybody watching is a wreath maker, or if you do crafts, and if so, what your favorite things are to do. Because I love crafting with other crafters. I do a lot of local workshops, wreath workshops and centerpiece workshops. And I love when people think that they can't do it, because I really believe that everybody can. And I always offer a little zhuzhing at the end. So if like something's a little bit wonky, I'm there to help. I want to make sure that they're going to use it. I don't want them to just leave and then, you know, throw it in their garage and forget about it. So it's nice seeing people unleash their talents. All right. So this is being donated as a raffle item for our Chamber of Commerce. I was very appreciative that they thought of my shop to represent our Southern New Hampshire Chamber. 'Tis the season for beautiful decor. Okay, put one down here. You always want to just kind of be stepping back to assess where your bald spots are. And this is something even sometimes I don't notice until I look at photos, but now that I've stepped back, I realize that I have this gap here that I want to address. Okay, so I'm going to finish with the eucalyptus, and then we're going to add more to this side. All right, aren't these so beautiful? Like this will turn heads. Cars may run off the road with this beautiful wreath on your door with these colors. As a wreath maker, I'm always looking at people's doors, and I'm super, super judgy if they don't have wreaths. And I always feel guilty because my neighbor doesn't have a wreath on her door. And I'm always afraid she thinks I'm talking about her, but I'm not. I'm not. All right, so to fill in this, we're kind of doing like a halo with the leaves. So I am going to add another branch. And I am going to slide it upward because we're working on the bottom part of our wreath. Okay, now I want to add in more texture. This already naturally has a lot of texture, but I want to just do a little bit more again. Oh, let's see. Trish makes wreaths and dabbles in crafts. I did my first timer mistake and went and bought everything I saw. Now I can start my own craft show. That is hysterical because last night I went to Hobby Lobby and all I was supposed to buy was a pile of these, and $400 later I came home with everything that sparkles. So I totally feel your pain. I just get really carried away. I think that's how it is with creative people. You get inspired really easily and you think with your heart and not with your wallet. And it gets you into trouble. I was trying to really not overbuy for fall, and I think I'm in good shape. I have one more fall workshop coming up, and I'm gonna just try and exhaust my supplies. All right, so I like to put in things that I call disruptors. So if you are, looking at a garden, everything doesn't grow in order. It's like beautiful chaos. So things are, growing in between each other. So I like that too with the wreaths. I don't like everything to be super cookie cutter-ish because I don't think that's natural. So I like things that just kind of like pop. I think texture is a huge part of the difference between an expensive wreath and one that, looks kind of manufactured. Because there is nothing worse than a manufactured wreath. I just want to follow people around at Home Sense. I'm so sad when they buy one of those wreaths because they're awful. I would say Home Sense could do no wrong, but their wreaths just, they hurt my wreath making heart. All right, so what are we thinking so far? This has come, let's see, we've been on for under 20 minutes, and if we wanted to, we could wrap right now. So this is a very easy design. And like I said, this is my recipe. So because it's my recipe, my muscle memory makes it so much easier. I could put a wreath together in 20 minutes if I had to, because I already know what I'm going to do. All right. So I'm going to be putting a bow in the corner here. So let me, if this wreath is, this leaf is too big, so I'm going to pull it. It's better to pull materials. I know we don't want to waste, but if it doesn't, actually, let me pull this whole one out. If it doesn't look good, or if it's, kind of irks you from the beginning, it's not going to change. It's going to bother you. So just take a moment to just correct it. All right. How are we doing? So let's see. We take a step back. And I'm liking this so far. I'm going to show you how I make a super easy bow. And I call it a 10 by 10 by 10, which is not really that creative. but it's because everything is in increments of 10 inches. Okay, so I chose this ribbon. I think it's not going to get washed out. I think the green really breaks it up and makes it pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 10 by 10 by 10. Okay, now I'm just going to eyeball this because at this point I feel pretty confident that I know the 10 inches. So let's see. So I'm going to do this. It's going to be hard to show you like this, I think. Let me drop the thing. Okay. So we pleat right here, and then this would be 10 inches, and we pinch. Now we're going to twist it, okay? So ugly side is facing away. We're going to count another 10 inches, and we're going to bring this right up and pinch, okay? So right now you have like a figure 8. Okay, you're going to twist again and measure 10 inches and pinch. Now this is only 3 loops, and I know some people love big bows, and I love big bows too, but a lot of what I do is I just use like the simple bows, or sometimes I don't use bows at all. So it only has 3 loops, and we want it to have a nice long tail. So that's going to be about a foot. And we're going to make just one really big loop, twist it, and then I'm going to cut. Now using floral ribbon, or floral wire, sorry, we are going to, my thumb's been holding this the whole time. We're going to slide this ribbon under my thumb. Under my thumb. Like so. And then we're going to twist. So people use all different things. Some people use zip ties. Some people use pipe cleaners. I just think floral wire is the easiest to work with because, sometimes just your hands really bother you. And I know sometimes making bows can be hard because, again, it's a lot of, tension on your hands and they get tired. So we are going to attach this to a floral pick. So this is a floral pick. It's what you would use with natural flowers. We're going to use this. So it has this little copper wire on it, but we're not really paying attention to that. It's not going to hold. It's way too flimsy to hold, a bow. So using the wire that's on our bow, starting at the top, we're just going to go like this and weave it all the way down. And I like to weave it all the way down because if you leave part of this wire sticking out and it pokes you, it just hurts. So this kind of just makes sure that that's not going to happen. Then I like to do my floral tape. I just think it looks better. I mean, I don't really know who's going to be looking at the stick, but for floral tape, you do the same kind of thing, okay? So starting at the top, and this is tacky. It's not like super sticky, but it's tacky enough. So going at the top, I'm just going to start spinning this and covering up the wire. I worked at a florist when I was 19, and I learned a few tricks, but oh, I love flowers. I think that's probably part of why I do this now. All right, so we have our bow. I'm going to put it right here where we have this bare spot. So let me dip this in the glue. I'm going to slide it upward. Like so. And now we're going to dovetail our tails. Okay, so when you dovetail, you are cutting. Let me erase this a little bit. You're going to fold this in half, and essentially you're cutting out a little triangle just to give it that nice polished look. So always watch your fingers. This was the tail we made, so I'm going to cut this in half. That was that giant loop we had. I'm going to fold it so the edges are facing to the right. I often do this backwards, so don't feel bad if you do it backwards too. And I'm just going to go around. Where is my 4th tail? Here it is. Okay, so I call this a peekaboo bow. I know that's not the coolest name. It's just what I call it because it's not front and center. It's just a little add-on. It's just a little bit of visual interest where maybe you didn't expect it. Okay, so now looking at this, I think we're pretty much done, except I feel like there's some bare spots here. So I'm gonna go in with more of these leaves. Do we want big leaves or little leaves? I think we're gonna go with a big leaf, or branch with big leaves. Okay. So since this is my first live, I'll definitely take the feedback. I feel like I should have an iPad so I can read the comments, because I'm just not used to doing it. Because again, I usually just record. All right. So I put leaves there. And then I want to just put, even though this only has this tiny little stem, as long as you're careful not to dip your finger in the glue, we can still use this. Okay. All right. So last step that I do, or one of the last steps, is I flip my wreath over. So can you see, all these pieces sticking out? Those are all going to scratch somebody's door. So what I want to do is snip them off. But if you notice, like where I'm snipping, this is where it was dipped in glue. So we actually have to do another step to make sure that all these items stay secure, since we just basically cut off the glued part. All right, going through. So if there are other things you'd like to see videos on, definitely let me know. I do enjoy doing them. The live's throwing me for a loop a little bit, but all right. So now that I've trimmed all those pieces, I'm gonna go in with my glue gun and moss. Okay, so my favorite glue gun is the Bonder glue gun. It's wireless. Again, it's very easy to design with. And then we're going to use some of this preserved moss. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go and add glue to all these pieces where I can just see what's left of them after I had cut them. I usually don't apply it right away because it is incredibly hot. So I just do this very carefully. Like I'm not really going to hold it too close because I don't want to get burned. Okay, this piece. And for glue sticks, I use Gorilla Glue. It's high temp, and I think it's probably the best adhesive. Some people's homes have a lot of direct sunlight, so it's very hard for them to keep wreaths. All right, now if there were glue hairs on here, which there are, I can see them. Oops. Yes, we can pull them off with our hands. See how quickly that loop pulls off? Hi. Okay, so we can pull it off with our hands, but you can also take just a warm blow dryer and just run it through. And what happens is the glue kind of just sticks or attaches itself to the material. So then you don't have them all over the place. Okay, and then the absolute last step, and I encourage everybody to use this, is the Krylon Floral UV Protectant Spray. They sell this at Michael's. I think it's like $10 with a coupon, but I just encourage people. I spray all my wreaths with this before I ship them. I do have a little bit of care notes that go out with my wreaths, and I also encourage my clients to get one of these because every season I would encourage you to spray your wreaths. I mean, they're not cheap, so you want to protect your investment, and this is a great way to do it. So what you would do is you'd have to go outside because, it's got the toxic fumes like spray paint. And you just hit it for a good 20 or 30 seconds, and you can do the bow. You can do any of these materials. I always hit the greenery extra hard with a lot because green turns blue when it gets too much sun exposure. So that's like always the way I feel like wreaths, you know, look fake quickly. So yeah. So that is it. That is my first live. I appreciate you tuning in, and let me know if there's something you'd like to see in the future. Bye.